Our first training cycle for the 2022 competitive CrossFit season just started. For more information and to join, head to trainingthinktank.com.
I don't know, are we?
We're super ready.
This
Happy birthday to you.
is my notes right here. Mia's birthday podcast, 9/7/21.
I would like to say that the sash is not my idea. It was forced on me against my will.
It looks great on you. I think birthdays are important to celebrate, even though I just said I don't really care that much about my own birthdays.
Well, I don't think anyone does. Is anyone ever like, yeah, it's my birthday?
I know people who
Yeah.
love
Oh, I
celebrating
hate
the
them.
birthday.
I hate all of them.
I definitely know people like that.
I like celebrating other people's birthdays way more than my own.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the you don't want to be the attention.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe it's a personality thing. I do think the people that really enjoy celebrating the birthdays are probably more extroverted, energetic people, and I don't.
I will say I do like the excuse of making my friends get together. Not
That's
necessarily to pay attention to me, but just to do something.
Yeah.
'Cause that seems to be harder and harder to do as we get older.
So
I
what?
like weddings for that reason.
That's
Mhm.
true.
Speaking of weddings,
Mia recently got engaged.
did.
Congratulations.
Yay, thank
Very
you.
exciting. Were you surprised?
I was. It was super sweet. It's apparently he's had the ring since March, which blows my mind that he has kept it a secret for that long. But he said he couldn't propose because we kept qualifying for things.
Blame the CrossFit Games.
Yep.
That's awesome. So CrossFit Games, and that was even just over a month ago. So you've competed in the CrossFit Games, got engaged, and it's your birthday today in a 5-week span.
I think the first two are pretty exciting. The birthday is
Less exciting.
that happens
Yeah.
every year.
Are you doing anything today?
Kyle's gonna take me out for sushi, which is my favorite food.
Oh,
So
nice. That's
where are y'all
awesome.
going?
we're gonna try a new place. I forgot what it was called, but we looked it up last night.
Perrin, how do you feel about buffet sushi?
Concerned.
Concerned?
It's a
Yeah.
good
Someone
an-
invited
it's a
me to
good
that
answer.
once, and no thanks.
Yeah. Well,
Are y'all awake? Do y'all need some coffee?
we're good.
I'm
I was about-
talking like this.
I was about to say that I went to Japan a few years ago because my sister was stationed there. She's in the Navy, and they do the sushi that I guess the buffet comes to you, and it's
where it's on like a little boat?
yeah, and that was cool. But I think I trust that more than Georgia
Well,
buffet
you are.
sushi.
You were in Japan. Wait, what do you mean the boat comes to you?
The buffet comes to
Oh,
you.
the buffet
Did I
comes to
say
you.
boat?
I
No,
don't know.
aren't they on a boat? I've seen them where it's like they put it on a little conveyor belt.
It's on a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
This one wasn't actually on a boat, but they
I've
probably
seen-
do have
yeah.
fancier ones where
Yeah.
the sushi arrives on a boat, a
Have
little
you
boat.
ever done the Brazilian steakhouse?
Mhm.
Wait, aren't you Brazilian?
Yes, my family's from Brazil, so I have. I've done
So do you walk
I've
into
done
those-
I've done the real Brazilian.
The real-
steakhouse.
Do you walk in like with your chest up, like, "Hey, motherfuckers, I'm here." Don't be
No,
coming at me with
I don't-
that sausage plate.
I don't
It's always the
think
freaking
so.
sausage guy, the filet mignon guy with bacon wrap. He's never anywhere to be found. But the sausage guy, we're like, come on, dude. I've told you no 9 times.
Do they do it the same way that you'll see in a fogo de chao in Brazil?
Mhm.
It is
Yeah.
the same way.
Yeah,
And
it's similar.
You have a color thing that says if you're full or not, or if you want.
I don't remember what the signal is, or if there even is a signal. It's been a long time. I haven't been to Brazil in 8 years or so.
Wow.
So
You think you go back sometime?
I'm sure I
in the
will.
future?
This is pretty lazy of me, but I have dual citizenship, and my passport is expired, and I just need to renew it. My Brazilian passport
That's cool.
is expired.
I've always wanted dual citizenship. I wonder if I could get that because I was born in South Korea, but I've
Mhm.
never been there.
I'm sure you could
I guess I don't know.
if you're a native. Is that the term?
Native?
Well, no. There's never mind.
Indigenous?
I'm not gonna get it right. No, there's a term for when you're born somewhere versus. I sound so stupid saying this. Never mind. Ignore me.
No, I understand what you're saying. But I probably could just look it up.
The opposite of calling someone an alien when they go to a country.
I see.
Mm.
No, Okay.
Native sounds correct. To
Maybe
me.
that is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a native Korean.
I'm
Are
sure
you
you
into
could.
K-pop and stuff?
I am no,
Never? You never dabbled?
no. I really, It's funny because people ask me all the time, like, what type of Asian are you? Especially when I get my nails done or something like that.
You did bring that up when we
Oh my
were
gosh.
in Madison
Yes.
getting our nails done.
Yes. But like, I don't know if it's because I've just lived here my whole life. I was adopted when I was 3 months old, but I'm not good at distinguishing different types of Asian. I do not really. I've never got into K-pop or like Asian culture, and I feel bad a lot because I don't like understand it, or I can't relate to any of my like 2 Asian friends.
I don't think you should feel bad. I feel that way about white culture. I don't give a shit about half of it.
I don't know. It's strange. My parents
Outdoor mall, get me out of here.
my parents tried to like get me interested in learning Korean when I was a kid, and they had these like books on tape, and I would read them. I would listen to them when I went to bed, and I was just like, I'm not that interested in this. So I don't know if it's just like I've been Americanized, and maybe one day I will try to learn, but I definitely want to go travel there. I think that would be awesome. But I think it makes sense if you're going that far to the other side of the world, I would like try to take a month or something like that.
Yeah.
But you've been to Japan. Have you been to any other Asian place, any countries?
Well, when I was in Japan, we went to Taiwan, which was like, we were in Okinawa, which is, they described it as like the Hawaii of Japan. So it's like an island off of mainland. We went to Taiwan, and that was it. But yes, the flight is super long, and the jet lag is brutal. When I went there, it wasn't so bad because I wasn't working as much, and I didn't have like hours. I mean, with our job, unless we're filming, we can just kind of do it whenever. So I would sleep when I needed to. But when I came back, it was really bad. So it has to be like a big chunk of time and like worth it, and just get ready for. But I'm also a baby when it comes to not sleeping my regular hours.
Yeah.
So
I think they say for every hour time difference, it takes a day to like get back on track from jet lag.
yeah, it's like, and it's the opposite. Like it's, you're basically, if it's 12 p.m. here, it's 12 a.m. there. So
Yeah, completely flipped.
yeah.
I also feel like, I forget which direction is, but going one way versus going the other way
they
is way
said that
worse.
too. I think the way I came back was worse, which I
That
don't know
makes
what that
sense.
means, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're ahead. They're
yes.
12 hours
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
Well, what else do you want to
It's
talk
like,
about?
what is on my shoulder?
It's your birthday sash. What else do you want to talk about today, Mia?
Well, you wrote a novel.
What's in those notes?
I took some notes. Yeah, I wrote some questions for myself and also asked J-Doe.
J-Doe.
J-Doe, shout out.
Jordan Dorman,
That's Brandon's
my
wife.
bestie. It's my bestie.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Not Brandon's wife. It's Mia's bestie and Mia's favorite Katan partner / rival.
Yes.
Actually, one
Give
of
us a comment if you play Catan, because Mia could use some new partners. She's running out.
Hey, anybody that wants to come hang out and play, but I'm not going to teach you. I'm retired from teaching people.
Or don't they have to sign a contract that they have to play with you for?
Yeah. I'm done teaching people who never play with me again. If I teach you, you're like when you when the
required to
military
play.
pays for your schooling and you owe them 4 years, you
Yeah.
owe me.
4
You
years.
owe me 4 years of Catan.
That's smart.
How did you actually get into Catan?
My sister and my brother-in-law, they played and they taught me, and I have never beaten my brother-in-law, Dan. Shout out, I'm coming for you. But they live in Seattle now. They're the ones that used to live in Japan. Now they live in Seattle, so we don't get to play very often. I haven't played him in probably over a year, if not longer than that.
But you're like full on nerd, because I saw you on the Air Runner once playing a game on your phone, right?
I wasn't playing a game. I was listening to a strategy podcast.
You like doubled up what I just said. I see you're playing a game and raise you watching a strategy video.
Well, I couldn't play a game while running. That'd be really hard. But yeah, I've chilled out on that a bit. Once the CrossFit season really kicked up, I wasn't able to really dive into my Catan as much. But beforehand, Jordan and I were playing probably 3 nights a week. We would go over to her brother and sister-in-law's house and play once she put her kids to bed. And parent has witnessed some of my not so proudest moments when Jordan and I get in fights.
It's very entertaining. It's very entertaining. You guys are both very good at the game. I feel like I kind of have the sit back, wait and see, and hope to get lucky strategy. But I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, do you want to explain what Catan is? Or
Sure.
It is kind of
I mean, it's a board game that has just a lot of strategy to it. So it's kind of hard to explain. But if you're into very strategic board games, I recommend you check it out. It's super fun.
So like not
super
not
addicting.
like
It's not like a
Candyland.
Sorry or something like that where you.
As I'm an adult, I get it for kids, but like sometimes like the nephews and stuff will be like, want to play Sorry? I'm like, man, all this is going to do is roll the dice and see how far I go, and that's how I win. I'm good.
It's not a good life lesson.
Well, actually, maybe it is. It's just a roll of the dice.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
No, I guess there is some strategy.
Sometimes
though,
you
so.
win, sometimes you lose.
That's why I like Magic the Gathering. See, you got a mixture of luck and strategy, but Mia won't try it because she's too cool.
You won't try Catan.
Yeah, because I'm too cool.
That was, I think you answered question number 2 though from Jado. How did you get to be so good at Catan? Well, I don't know if you answered it, but it sounds like you've practiced and listened to podcasts.
I definitely, once I started playing and kept losing to Dan, I wanted to figure out why I was losing. So I did a little bit of research, and I wouldn't say that I'm great, but I definitely have some strategic things up my sleeve, and maybe one day I'll join a tournament and never live it down because everyone here will make fun of me forever.
I hope you do. Can you spectate those tournaments?
I have no idea. Probably. You'll be one of 4 spectators.
Well, that kind of strategy of losing and trying to get better, I feel like
wow, good
there's
segue.
Same
Look at
type
the big
of
segue
same
off.
type of strategy and training, coaching, learning how to get better at anything. So, growing up, Jordan would like to know.
Are these? Am I being interviewed by Jordan Dorman right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is part 1. What sports did you play growing up, and how did you get into CrossFit?
I played soccer from when I was 10, I believe, through a little bit of college, and I ran track middle school through a little bit of college. And I went away for college. It was a D2 school, and I was there for 1 semester, and it was like I was young. I was 17 still because I was like I started school early. I don't know why. I guess because my birthday's in September, and it was like the weird line. Not that I would have been more mature if I were 18. I don't know. But I just missed home, really, was my full reason. So I transferred back to UCF, which is like an hour away from where I grew up, and all my friends went there. And I spent all of the rest of college getting super into intramural sports, like very serious. We were really into floor hockey. Which I don't know how many schools have it, but that's the most fun sport I've ever played.
What is floor hockey?
It's basically like hockey, but you're running. So
I used to play street hockey growing up.
Yeah. I guess
That's
street
on
hockey.
rollerblades.
True.
Oh, yeah, it's not on rollerblades. You're just running.
That sounds lame. I
No,
want to be on rollerblades.
It's so fun. I mean, I guess if you're good at rollerblading, then
When
sure.
did rollerblading become uncool, by the way? Because when I was growing up, that was the shit.
I
I
used
knew
to
how to go
rollerblade a lot.
backwards. I could do all the stuff.
I
And then at
think
some
it's
point,
coming-
I woke up and
I
it
think
was
it's
like,
coming back. Like
Is
it's a thing. I went to when I was in Florida a couple weeks ago. I went to a like little surf shop, and they had like really cool looking rollerblades in there. So maybe that's a
was it
thing.
the 5-wheel or the 4-wheel?
The square one
With the break in the back.
where it's like 2 and 2. I guess that's roller skates, not
Yeah,
rollerblades.
Yeah, rollerblades. We're talking
Oh,
blades.
I'm sorry. I
ain't talking about the Sonic drive-through. Continue.
yeah, so floor hockey. But it's on a basketball court, and they had like boards set up like regular hockey. So
Did you check people?
you weren't supposed to check people, but you could get away with it a little bit. But you could like play off boards, and that was it was so much fun. Anyways, finished college, and I got like really into running half marathons. I don't know what was wrong with me. I was just like, I need to do something. So I did that for about a year. The sash is falling off. I should probably let it fall off. And then I just found like a Groupon for CrossFit, and I remember the girl in it looked like super jacked, and I was like, oh, that's cool. This was before like big strong girls was like a thing, I guess. It was like 2011, or at least in my world. And I was like, that girl looks awesome. She looks like such a badass. I want to look like her. So I bought the Groupon. It was 2 weeks of CrossFit, and that's when I started.
Oh, that was 2011.
No, it was like I know I said 2011. 2011 is when I graduated college. It was like the end of 2012 is when I started CrossFit.
So it was still in that Reebok was sponsoring the games, I think, at that point.
I mean, they literally just stopped last year.
Yeah.
So definitely.
I think the 2011, I remember it being the 2011 Reebok CrossFit Open, so that would make sense. Did you ever watch the games on television once you started to kind of understand
It was a while until I paid attention to the games. I was not good at CrossFit when I started. So
Same.
I didn't really go into it like, oh, I want to be really good. It was more like, I want to be like a super fit girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just seems like a cool thing to me at the time. And it took a few years for me to get to maybe I could really try for this and see if I can get better. But I mean, when I started, I was enduring. Like obviously I played soccer my whole life and I had just come off I would run for 2 hours a day. So stuff that was just like double unders and box jumps and running and rowing, I was really good at, but I couldn't put any weight over my head at all. I couldn't do a pull-up. I couldn't do real push-ups. I was pretty flimsy in the upper body area. And I remember seeing girls do muscle-ups, and back then it was they would do singles, and I was like, I'm never going to be able to do that. There's no way. My body will never do that. So it's kind of cool to look back on that and see how far you can come I didn't mean to turn this into an inspirational little montage.
No, I can relate to that. I when I started, I actually did want to be competitive fairly soon after I started, and I think I started in 2010 and ended up competing at regionals in 2012 when that was a thing. We were the last qualifying team, but I think I've always been competitive. I've played a lot of sports growing up, and I've always wanted to be not necessarily the best, but in the top tier, even if it was the bottom. So I can relate to there being certain things like a ring muscle up, for instance, took me 2 years to get one of those. But when I first started, I was like, I just don't think that's possible for me to do. I was scared of heights. My upper body strength also was not great at all. But I don't know, at some point in time, I think you just get into the culture, and that's one thing I love about CrossFit. I feel like there's a lot of people that are very positive in motivating you and helping you believe that something is actually achievable. So when did you actually get to the point where you were like, oh, maybe a muscle up is possible, or maybe I could compete in CrossFit?
I don't know if I can pinpoint a moment, but I know over time I just started to build body awareness, and I could feel in simple things it took me forever to be able to do a toes to bar. I just didn't know how to move my body in space hanging from something, or even moving a barbell was pretty sloppy unless it was something like a squat or a deadlift that didn't require that much coordination. So that took a couple years to get to the point where I was like, oh, I'm swinging on the bar, and now I feel like if I do this with my shoulders, then this happens, feeling like I could control those things. So I guess it was a process of that building, and building to the point where I'm on the rings, and I'm thinking well, I know that if I do this with my hips, it's going to make me go up. And then if I throw my shoulders this way, which sounds so simple, but it took me a really long time to get to the point where I could even know what I was doing with that kind of stuff. So
did you have a coach guiding you? Did you have individual programming? Were you following a group?
I didn't have individual programming, but I had people around me at the gym that I trained at that would help me. I trained with Hannah Richards, who she isn't competitive anymore, but she was a former gymnast, and she had been to regionals a whole bunch of times, and she helped me a ton with just teaching me how to move in gymnastics movements. So having her around, she wasn't coaching me, but she would just help me a lot with that kind of stuff. And she would do seminars that I would go to, and just baby steps like that took a really, really long time.
Yeah. I feel especially when I was starting to coach more or try to learn more about coaching, I went out and took a lot of the CrossFit, I think they were called like SME seminars or specialty courses to try to learn gymnastics and weightlifting and all that. But now, well, probably back then too, but now especially, I feel like you can find a lot of that information on YouTube or just, Google searching, or buy somebody's course that is a little bit more, they can kind of take you through the steps of those things. So gymnastics, I know being something that was weaker for you, how did you approach trying to like solve those problems or get better at ring muscle ups or handstand walking?
So I did a lot of it by myself until I moved here. I actually started writing programming for myself. A lot of it was just like gymnastics, strength work, and like you said, doing a lot of research online and watching drills that other people put out and just trying to do them myself. And it was really like pieced together without a ton of not progression, but like
really like just experimenting.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, experimenting. And I feel like my process to figuring it out was so much just trial and error. Like it took me so long, and people make fun of me for saying this because I'm not like trying to be self-deprecating. It was just like, it just took me a long time to figure out how to do stuff. Yeah. And I would try something for a while and I would learn something from it, but it wasn't like the whole thing. Like I would, do some bar muscle up progressions that I saw online, and I didn't get a bar muscle up, but I did learn this little thing that helped in like the path there. So that was kind of my journey. And then when I moved here, Kyle Ruth started coaching me, and at that point I could do muscle ups, not a lot. I still could barely handstand walk. But he helped me a lot with just like having an eye and like giving me little cues that I hadn't thought about or hadn't felt. And it was a cool journey because him and I are so different when it comes to development in the sport. Like he probably did a muscle up the first time he ever tried. Yeah. Actually, I'm 100% positive he did. So he, like, I think I was like good to help him learn how to, make a less athletic person do these things. And then his eye and just different way of looking at things helped me a lot as well.
Yeah. We kind of had this conversation a little bit, I think it was yesterday actually, in the gym. We were talking about the requirements of technique when it comes to being proficient at something. So, the way a rower might teach you rowing technique to get better at a 2K time trial might be different than the requirements of the sport of CrossFit, because you're not often going to see a 2K time trial. You're going to see calories or half marathon row with a 2K buy-in or something like that. With gymnastics, especially because for those who don't know, you are a taller athlete, and it sounds like you didn't have as much proprioception in your previous athletic development. How much do you think technique matters in building gymnastics for athletes who want to compete in the sport of CrossFit?
I think it matters a lot, but it matters in like different ways for different athletes. Like if you have an athlete who is just naturally maybe stronger in their upper body, or they just pick things up faster, they're not going to have to dial it in quite as perfectly as someone like me would need to develop it. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't continue to chase that as they're growing. And then also, I'm a big believer in like the right technique is not just like black and white. It's super different for different athletes, different proportions, different ways of athletic development. And that's something I had to navigate, still have to navigate a ton, is like the way that someone like Kyle Ruth can do it is just not going to work for me. So I have to figure out like, how do I MacGyver this movement to fit my proportions or where my strength deficits are.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So when you're coaching somebody, how do you help the athlete kind of figure out what technique works for them? Is it similar to how you experience a little bit trial by fire, where let's try this technique, see if it works for you. If it doesn't, we'll try something else?
I think a lot of it is creating that body awareness that I talked about. And that's the first biggest hurdle for athletes that struggle with gymnastics. Because the ones that don't, like their development doesn't have to be as technical. Not saying that technique isn't important. They shouldn't continue to work on that, but it's just an easier journey.
For sure.
But for the athletes who do struggle with it, the first step I take is, how can I get them to understand what their body is doing? So that's like breaking down movements, doing pieces of movements, building them together, explaining how one piece builds upon another. And that's a long process for some athletes. And you just have to like buckle up and do it. And yep, that was my point.
I mean,
Nailed it.
I feel like gymnastics are one of the hardest things to teach, especially online, virtually, with like just video feedback and cues, because to contrast that, Olympic weightlifting, right? You can start with a PVC pipe. You can do a training bar. You can pause in certain positions. You can go from the blocks. You can't pause yourself in the middle of a butterfly pull-up, but you can, use tools like putting one foot on the box and practicing the shapes and all those things. I don't know exactly why this is, but I feel like either people think that stuff isn't important, or they don't have the patience or the will to kind of continue to practice them and understand what good looks like or improvement looks like the way that people do in weightlifting. And I don't know if that's like a CrossFit culture thing or a lack of education. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I think it has to do with like the pass fail mentality of it. Like if you're snatching and say your 1RM is 150 pounds and on a certain day you hit 140 but you fail 150, you're not like, oh, I'm terrible. Like people understand that you're not going to hit your 1RM every day. If you're trying to get a muscle up and you don't get a muscle up, it's like, I failed. And that's what I try to explain to athletes is you need to try to pull yourself out of that mentality, because every time that you are working towards it, even if you're not doing the full rep, or you have a day where if you've done a bunch of progressions, you have the body control, you have the strength requirements, and now you just have to keep trying it until you get it. And that's just the reality of it. And for some people that takes a long time. For some people it doesn't take that long. But if you have a session and you're supposed to try to get a ring muscle up and you don't get a ring muscle up, that doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you put in more work that day to reach that goal, and that's just a step closer. And I think that's harder to see versus like with lifting, you can just say like build to 85%, and you build 85%, good day.
Check the box, yeah.
Right.
No, I think that's completely true. And I think even I like being I'm about to turn 35. Speaking of birthdays, I'm gonna age up into the masters, but
Woohoo!
That's so exciting.
It is. It's such an exciting birthday. Chris yelled at me before this because I said my birthday was not exciting.
I yelled
and
at
parents
you
is.
just said it's not exciting that you were turning 32.
It's not.
I know, but 30. Pear, do you think 35 is exciting?
I'm not sure.
Is it because I'm taking such a harsh stance?
No,
I don't wanna
no.
disagree
I
with
Is
you?
it because you're scared of
I
Chris?
guess no. I mean, with Tamia's argument, it being like in the CrossFit world, I don't know about other sports, but you officially turn masters, and if you want to be competitive, that is, I think, maybe exciting.
And so you're going to compete in the Masters.
I don't
Wow,
know about that.
congratulations.
I don't know about that. I was actually thinking the other day, I'm like, maybe I should go back to weightlifting because I think I would be more competitive in masters weightlifting. But Sina was like, what do you think you would enjoy more? I'm like, I just don't know right now. So right now I'm just kind of training and
I
seeing.
say we all just start getting into really crazy like
Floor
niche
hockey?
sports.
Floor
Yeah.
hockey. I would love to play floor
It's
hockey.
so fun.
I would love that. I mean, I can't remember if I was on rollerblades or I think maybe I was just in shoes. Growing up after school, I would play street hockey every single day. I
Same.
loved it. It was so fun.
Yeah.
You did too?
Yeah, we'd have like a little group in my neighborhood. We'd play rollerblade
I
hockey.
feel like I don't see kids doing that as much anymore.
I don't see kids doing shit
Yeah, I
anymore
don't see them
outside.
outside.
Like
In my neighborhood, they're always playing football and basketball, but not hockey.
you see kids outside?
Yeah,
Oh
all the
man, I
time.
don't even
Yeah.
see kids outside ever.
Yeah, definitely not as much anymore. Like,
Well, you're not in like a subdivision.
no,
Your street is kind of.
that's true. So like, but maybe there's more neighborhood kids playing things outside. But I just don't feel like kids are outside.
Yeah,
as
I mean,
much
I know
anymore.
all my nephews and cousins and all that. Like they're all just inside playing Fortnite.
Yeah, yeah. See, the video game thing never did it for me. And
I just never had access to it, so
You
it
know
wasn't
what's-
a part of my life.
You know what's crazy? The statistic on gamers. Sorry, the last time I saw it said that women are the majority of gamers.
Really?
It just turns out they're playing like really shitty games like Candy Crush.
Oh,
But
they
Does a gamer have to be an online game? No. Like, does Katan count as a gamer?
back to Katan.
Sorry, I had to
That's okay.
adjust the camera. I mean, if it's on your phone now, then that's an online
But that's
game.
not like what I crave, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I crave the real life battles against Jordan
the real
Dorman.
life battles. Oh my gosh.
So women consume the most.
Yeah, and
game-
there's actually an interesting history of gaming video I watched at some point on YouTube that said that a lot of the marketing towards men now can be traced back to at some point in the early days before there was the electronics section when the first Nintendo came out. As I like to call it, the regular Nintendo. Ask me why I call it the regular Nintendo.
Why do you call it the regular
Because
Nintendo?
the second Nintendo was called the Super Nintendo.
Yes, that's true.
Isn't that really, if they just called it Nintendo 1 and 2,
Yeah.
but it's almost like derogatory, like, oh, that man just got the regular Nintendo. Anyway, but when they came out with that, they put it in the toy section, and then toy sections are divided by, that's right, gender. So they had to pick one, and they picked men. And so there's like some hypothesis, did that cause like, all the marketing was that way?
Interesting. Or maybe if they did a pink one and put also one in the women's section.
I don't know. I remember at that age when games were that simple, I know a lot of, like, at least in my neighborhood, girls would play. It was like when they started getting to like 3D, Nintendo 64, like walking around, that's when all the girls checked out. But maybe that's also they aged out and we stayed being nerds while y'all did
Were
other
you ever
stuff.
into video games?
We just never
you said you
had
didn't
any.
have access,
yeah,
yeah.
so I never played. And then when I became old enough, and anytime I do play, I don't know what I'm doing, and I just press all the buttons. It's not fun at all. So, no, I'm not into video games.
Yeah, I there was like a few that like my brothers and cousins would play, and I would jump in, but I was not nearly as good as them. I think they would just play more than me, and I was like, I would rather go outside. But apparently, kids don't do that.
So
anymore.
parents turning 35.
Yeah,
Where were we going with that?
I don't think we were going anywhere.
Okay.
I think we should go back to
What's on what's your list of questions?
In the competing versus coaching category, I categorize the questions. She would like to know, are you more stressed when you're competing or when you're watching an athlete compete? So as an athlete versus as a coach.
So the majority of the athletes that I coach are in the phase of development. Like, I tend to coach people who need to get better at gymnastics, people that are still pushing, like trying to get into RX level of competing, or they're at that level and they're trying to make it to semifinals and have holes in their development. So with those athletes, when they are competing, I personally don't put as much stake into how well they do, because that's not really as important as, like, this is a step towards, like, I've never coached a Travis at the games, or, someone who is like trying to win a competition that in my head is a crux of their athletic development or of their athletic career. If they are trying to win a competition, it's a step, like, it's just proving that they've gotten better at this thing. And so I'd say that doesn't really make me nervous to watch them compete, just because of the nature of where they are as athletes and what the priorities are. So competing.
By proxy.
Right.
Do you get really nervous when you compete?
Only I do get nervous. I'll always get nervous, but I think it's a kind of nerves that's like, I really care, so I'm nervous type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not like something that's necessarily detrimental to my performance.
Not like performance anxiety.
I do get extra nervous when it's a team workout that I know I'm the limiter on, and I'm trying to not be a lard and let them down, which
a bottleneck.
yes, that word. So those, like, I'm sure if you asked Mike and Brandy and Kyle, they'd be like, yeah, I can tell when, like, Mia feels that way, because I get, like, really quiet in my warm up and I'm just, like, super focused, and just, not that I'm not focused in other times, but it's I hate being the one holding them back. Mm-hmm. That's definitely, like, the hardest part of competing for me.
For sure.
And it happens a lot. That's just going to happen in team workouts. You're never going to be the person. I mean, I guess if you join a team that your league's better than everybody else. But for me, like I have holes in my game and in my game. Yeah.
So
again, that's my point.
when it comes to training now, you're in the off season. The CrossFit Games ended a little over a month ago. You took some time off. You're planning for the next season. And so what are your goals for the next season, and what do you feel like you need to improve upon this year to get to be a better Mia in 2022?
Better Mia?
Better Mia.
So I'm lucky enough that my awesome team wants to compete again next year, which is huge because I've definitely learned in the past few years trying to put together teams that so much of it is just out of your control, and you can set these goals of what you want to do as a team, but if everybody's not on board, then can't really do it. But I think they've all committed.
Mike was still on the fence.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he's in.
Nice.
Brandy will make sure of it. If not, we still love you, Mike.
Talking like this really low. This is how y'all are talking.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Chris.
Am I supposed to be more peppy?
You know, just like this. Hey, how you doing?
Okay.
Oh.
So anyways, the things that I need to improve upon. I feel like in my development over the past few years, there's been so much focus on I had to get better at gymnastics. That was just the major thing. So I had to get stronger at, pulling, pressing, and build my volume and all of that. And that changes training a little bit when it's so focused towards those things, because it's not so much about like fitness and like going hard constantly and pushing yourself in. I did a lot of Metcons with like bottlenecks. Like there would be 30 ring muscle ups that's not going to challenge your breathing as much. And I had to train like that because I had to bridge those gaps. But now the consequence of that was I feel like my just general fitness level wasn't as high last year. And with the way the season went, it felt like there was never time to fix that. Like we qualified, and then it was such a short turnaround that we had to work on team stuff and synchro work. And with that, like 1 out of every 4 workouts, I'll be the one that's dying. But then the other 3, that's just the way with teams is like, maybe I'm not the limiter. So it's not as hard of a session. Anyways, the point is this year I'm with my new coach, Perrin.
Chris,
Because
did you know that?
What? Oh, that she's with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Why is that exciting?
It's exciting for me because Mia's a great athlete.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, well.
Yeah, Kyle Ruth coached me for the past 3 years, and I can't say enough good stuff about how much he's helped me, but we are teammates now. So that had to shift a little bit, and that was a mutual decision. My sash is falling off again. Anyways, yes, so that, and then we also learned at the games that my pulling endurance is pretty poor when it comes to like rope climbs. We didn't make it to the pegboard workout, but I can't get up a pegboard, so that would have been a huge issue. So those kind of things are things that we have to clean up this year too.
Yeah, I think the games, or making it to that stage of competition, it definitely rewards the athlete in being able to expose a lot more things, so that I think you have more stuff that you kind of know you need to work on in the next year. And hopefully next year the team gets further through the games and can do things like pegboards and actually be able to touch the worm and things like that. But yeah, I mean, as your new coach, we kind of we had an initial consultation when we were discussing the new relationship, and all the things you brought to the table completely made sense as far as what you need to work on, what was exposed to the games, and even just the training up leading to the games. But I think now, so you started CrossFit in 2012, so that's 8, 9, you're going to be going on year 10?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a couple years in there where I dislocated my shoulder and tore my labrum and had to do like a rehab. That was about 2 years, so 2 years of not really training in there. So I guess like 8 years of training.
Okay.
And 2 years of rehab, which
8 years of training.
Also build into it, so we can say 10 years of training.
Yeah. 10 years of training.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're at the point where you feel like you can kind of just continue to train and not focus as much on really, really large holes in your game. So Like
It's a long time when you say it like that.
yeah, but I think a lot of people don't. When a coach has a conversation that's very real and honest like that, like this is how long it could take for you to achieve this goal, I think some people understand and some people think they understand, but don't really grasp like the concept of that being a journey that might have dislocated shoulders in there that you didn't plan for, or broken feet, or maybe just missing out on qualifying because someone on your team got sick, you got sick, the workouts just...
We all got sick.
Hashtag math.
Yeah.
But
Ugh.
yeah, I mean, so that could have gone a different way, right?
sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So there's so many things outside of your control. I think your own preparation obviously is extremely important, but like at the end of the day, when you go to compete, anything can happen. I mean, you can have a really harsh judge. You can have something go in your favor that maybe you didn't think would. So I think that's all part of competition. But I think it's really exciting that you have continued to evolve as an athlete and make a lot of improvements. And you're still kind of taking now what you've learned about yourself, applying it to your coaching. And then this next stage, do you think that there's anything thinking about where you are now and looking back where you came from, is there anything that you would have changed if you could go back in time and make different?
I think I could have streamlined my gymnastics development a little bit sooner by getting a coach, really. But at the same time, I think that a lot of what I went through helped me become a coach, and just having to like figure so much stuff out for myself. So I wouldn't change it, but if I wanted a smoother journey, I do think that I could have benefited from a one-on-one coach earlier in my development, and that probably would have helped me just progress a little bit quicker through building muscle ups. I would have hired Myra Brandt to teach me how to handstand walk 10 years ago. Shout out to Myra.
Shout out to Myra, which you're still working with Myra now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Myra's awesome. I've done some of those handstand sessions with you, and they're really hard.
They're really hard, and also just like so helpful.
Super
in
helpful.
Understanding what my body is doing.
Yeah, for
upside
sure.
down.
I'm kind of running out of questions here, but I still have...
Really? That's a whole freaking...
I mean, some of them, I was just kind of like a natural...
Let's go to some
Segue.
fun ones then.
You want me to read out my rapid fire ones?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. These are just going to be this or that. So you
Okay.
have to pick one.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Tacos or burgers and fries?
Tacos.
Wait, why does the burgers come with fries, but tacos don't come with no like churros or nothing?
Because burgers and fries go together.
No, tacos and churros.
I love tacos, and I can't remember the last time I've eaten a churro.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe tacos and chips and queso,
All
which
right,
I would
now we're
still pick
talking.
You would
tacos and
definitely-
chips
yeah.
and queso.
Fair. Okay. NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
In
Don't
sync.
fuck this up. You fucked it up.
Sorry, Chris.
I would pick Backstreet Boys.
You said you were Backstreet Boys?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. BSB is just I'd like them first.
Yeah.
You were Backstreet Boys?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one.
Yeah.
They're
Did you-
playing down the street from the gym in a few months.
I thought that happened a long time ago.
Well,
It
I think
did.
one of them lives in this town. So
Yeah, I
they
think
play.
they came
Yeah.
in.
Did you see
before.
that documentary with them?
There's two, and they're both amazing.
Yeah, I forget which one I saw. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
It was about their manager.
Yeah. Well, both of them speak on the manager. Did you watch the one where they also go visit each other's childhood homes?
No.
So basically, they didn't know each other. They basically like got formed within like, I don't know, like 6 months, and they were off to the races and famous. So they didn't really know each other. They're not from the same city. It was like they were all just brought together. And so in this documentary, they tell the story about how it all happened. But then they also go finally learn about each other for the first time. Like, oh, hey, I grew up here, and my family life was like this. It's very cool. You should go watch it.
I need to watch that one next. Okay, back to the questions. Beach or the mountains?
Beach,
Snatch or clean and jerk?
clean and jerk.
Fran or Helen?
Neither.
You gotta pick one.
I guess Fran.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Lily.
Yes.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset. I'm not a morning person.
I'm a morning person. Give me
What?
a sunrise. It's so underappreciated.
I mean, a sunrise is beautiful and I would love to see it. I just don't like to wake up really early.
Nothing makes me feel better than a sunrise.
Skier, bike erg, or rower?
Definitely not rower. Probably skier.
Really? Man, not me.
Yeah, that's because you're half my size.
Last one. Training or competing?
Training for a competition.
Okay.
Does that work?
I guess that's fair.
Like prepping for a competition. That's most fun for me.
And that's all you got, huh?
That's all I
So
got.
does that mean we have to break the piñata now?
Yeah, we should do that.
Oh, geez.
I got Mia a mini unicorn piñata for her birthday. It's filled with candy.
Karen, I really appreciate all of the birthday things you did for me.
No
This was
problem. I wanted
very.
it with the octopus.
Oh,
Hold on, pull it back closer to you. Yeah, there we go.
I feel like I'm gonna do something bad here. Am I good to go?
Yeah, go.
This table is gonna break. I'm just
poor
smushing it. I don't think piñatas work unless they're hanging.
You're the octopus. Octopus is vicious. It kills piñatas.
There we go. I was wondering why there was a huge bag of Starburst on your desk this morning.
Yay, you did it.
Oh, wow, there's like free fall M&Ms.
You broke a bag of M&Ms.
Who puts free flowing
There
candy
they
in a
weren't.
piñata?
She broke it open with the octopus.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I
She
was gonna
slayed
say
it.
Bags.
Yeah.
that makes sense. I was
It was
like,
a
who are
concert.
you, parent?
There's M&M
Where did
dust
you grow
all
up?
over the table.
Best 32nd birthday ever.
Thanks,
You'll
Perrin.
remember it
You
forever.
made it very special.
Yeah. I think that's all we got. Mia's 32nd birthday podcast.
Woo!
Until 33.
See y'all next year.